G'day guys, how's it going? I'm Aaron Whitnall, this is ACWSport, and here are my predictions for week 19 of the 2017-2018 Premier League season, starting with the biggest game of the weekend on Friday night, the game that I will be at as well, Arsenal v Liverpool. It's a game I cannot wait for, and as we know, earlier on in the season, Liverpool smashed Arsenal at Anfield, so Arsenal will be looking for revenge. But it's safe to say neither of these teams have had seasons that they would have hoped for. Their form has been very up and down, up and down. For me, Liverpool have been the better side in recent weeks, even though obviously they did have that frustrating 1-1 home draw with Everton. But that is a derby, of course. Arsenal have really tried to make the Emirates look formidable, even though they lost 3-1 to Man United. So I do see these teams as very even though obviously Liverpool are just above Arsenal in the table. Because of that, I think this game is actually going to end in a 2-2 draw. I think both teams have got such attacking prowess, but are both very, very leaky at the back. I'm going to back Lacazette and Sanchez or Ozil to score for Arsenal, and I'm going to back Mo Salah, and I'm going to go with Coutinho to score for Liverpool. Part of me also does want to say 3-2 Liverpool, just because I think Mane might get on the score sheet as well, but I will stick with the 2-2, even though I do have a sneaky feeling Liverpool could win this, but hold me to that. You watch, Arsenal going to smash Liverpool now. But anyway, that's where I'm going. I'm going 2-2 in that game. Then on to the games on Saturday, starting with the game at Goodison. This is going to be very interesting. Everton at home to Chelsea. And as we know, since Big Sam took over, Everton have been formidable. Chelsea, though, have won 8 of their last 10 games in the league. So again, still also having a very impressive season, even though obviously City are running away with it. Because these two teams are in both such good form, I honestly think this game will also end in a 2-2 draw. I just don't see Everton losing at home. Oh, Jesus. Everton losing at home with Big Sam doing so well with them at the moment. I'm going to back Sigurdsson and Rooney to get on the score sheet for them. And as for Chelsea, I'm going to back Hazard and Morata to get on the score sheet for them. I just think it's going to be a very good game to watch. And I think the star players on both sides will really come out and play in this game. Then on to the 3 o'clock kickoff, starting with the game at the Etihad, Manchester City versus Bournemouth. And I can only see this being a very simple 4-0 win for Manchester City. Similar to kind of Bournemouth's game last week at home to Liverpool. I just don't see them having enough strength to cause City any problems. I'm going to back Jesus to get on the score sheet, Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling and Sergio Aguero to score for Manchester City in that game. Then on to some real tight games in and around the bottom half of the Premier League table. Starting with Brighton versus Watford. This is a tough game because these two teams are very much mid-table. Watford, as we know in recent weeks, have really been a shadow of their former selves from earlier on in the season. Brighton have got good home form, and because of that, I think because Watford are going to want to bounce back from that humiliating 4-1 defeat at home to Huddersfield last week, I think this game will end 1-1. Moving on to another game that is kind of around the similar situation that Brighton-Watford's in. It's Southampton versus Huddersfield. Huddersfield obviously had a fantastic away win, and I'm actually going to back them to beat Southampton 2-1 at St Mary's. I'm going to back De Potter to get 2, but I'm going to back Charlie Austin to score for Southampton. Let's hope he starts in this game, because when he came in against Chelsea, Southampton looked a much better side. But yeah, I was going to go for a draw, but I just think Huddersfield will have their tails up following that win at Watford. Then onto a key game at the bottom of the table. Stoke hosting West Brom. As we know, West Brom haven't won since Pardew took over, only scoring 1 goal. That was last week. Stoke, on the other hand, have really struggled in recent weeks against with Mark Hughes in charge. Obviously, not having the season they would have wanted, but I think between the two, Stoke have got enough quality to overcome West Brom. I'm going to go Stoke 2, West Brom 1 in this game, just simply because I think, like I said, Stoke have got more quality. I'm going to back Shaqiri to get on the score sheet, and I'm also going to back Peter Crouch to get on the score sheet as well for Stoke, and Rondon to score for West Brom. Then on to another big game at the bottom of the table, West Ham at home to Newcastle. And if you had gone back a few weeks ago, I would have said I think Newcastle would get a result here. But West Ham are on a resurgence under David Moyes, so I think West Ham will run out 3-1 winners in this game. I'm going to back Perez to get on the score sheet for Newcastle. And as for West Ham, I'm going to back Arnautovic to get a brace because he seems in solid form. And I'm also going to back Antonio to get on the score sheet for West Ham as well. Then on to another big game at the bottom of the table. Swansea at home to Crystal Palace. And again, go back towards the start of the season, I would have said Swansea would have been surefire in for a win. But how the tables have turned, Swansea are now really sinking. They've sacked Paul Clement, unfortunately, as well. Never like to see a manager go. Crystal Palace, though, back on the rise. And I'm going to back them to get a 2-0 win here. I'm going to back Christian Benteke and Wilfried Zaha to score for them in that game. 2-0 to Crystal Palace. Then on to the two late kickoffs. Firstly, Burnley hosting Tottenham. What a game this is going to be. Burnley above Spurs in the table. However, Spurs seem to do pretty well in games that they're not really expected to get too much out of. Saying that, their record against the top sides is pretty poor. So ignore what I just said, because that was a load of rubbish. But in games like this, where one team seems to have the tails up, Spurs generally tend to do okay. So go with that, as opposed to what I just said. So I think Spurs are just going to edge Burnley 2-1 here. I think Burnley will take the lead through Chris Woods, really push Spurs close and come close to getting a second. But I think Son and Kane will score and Spurs will end up taking back all 3 points. They will also want to bounce back after that humiliating 4-1 defeat at Man City last week as well. And then in the final game of the week, we see Leicester hosting Manchester United. United will want to bounce back big time following their midweek defeat at Bristol City. I think they're going to. I'm going to go Leicester 1, Manchester United 2. I'm going to back Jamie Vardy to score for Leicester. He'll want to make up for missing the penalty in midweek. But I think Lukaku will actually score twice in this game and continue the recent goal scoring run he's been on in the Premier League, 2-2. I think he'll add that, make that 3-4. 4-3, sorry. God, I can't get my words right today. So yeah, I'm going Manchester United 2-1 winners in that game. And they are my predictions for this week's Premier League fixtures. Please comment below, let me know, do you agree with what I have to say? What are your predictions? I'm really keen to find out. As always, I'm Aaron Whitnall. This has been ACW Sport, and I will see you on Christmas Eve with my Premier League review.